Hello. So it's been a little while. It's super snowy outside. I don't know if you can see. We had a huge snowstorm and it's broken branches all over Boulder because it's super heavy, wet snow. And it's early spring and we were already having buds on the trees. So we've lost something like 10% of all the branches in Boulder, which reminds me of good old Vermont, where I went to high school. I went to St. John's Berry Academy and graduated in '91. I was young. I was 16 when I graduated, and I was in Vermont during sort of the heyday of Ben and Jerry's being an independent company, and that's what I wanted to talk today about. I wanted to talk about mindful, socially responsible, eco-responsible business and the challenges of that. I wanted to talk about independent business and versus selling out, and if we do sell out, how to protect the brand, which is very difficult. And I wanted to talk about how to get out of a rut if you're either just in life generally or in business specifically. If you get to a place where you're just burned out and exhausted, it could be parenting, it could be just your overall morale or lungta, to use the Buddhist expression, or in business. I personally have been in a rut. I've been exhausted in this sort of spiritual way. I mean, I'm physically fine. I have a climbing injury, but nothing's wrong with me. And yet I don't wake up inspired in the morning. And historically, when elephants been rich or poor or successful or failing, I've been super inspired through all of that. Through 13 years now with Elephant, we have 15 million uniques a month. We have up to, say, peak of 45 million page views a month. We've won #1 in the country twice for Twitter for our green coverage nationally. We have well over 3 million Facebook fans. So I'm looking at all that success. We have 30 staff. We're paying them living wage or far better, depending on their job. And I'm wondering why I'm uninspired. I'm able to pay my mortgage. I'm able to bike around town, get coffee, work on my laptop. Why am I so uninspired? So one thing I really advise is whenever you get into a rut, you lose your mojo. I grab a book and read a book that addresses that rut. If your rut is a spiritual one, maybe you want to grab a Pema Chodron book if you've lost a loved one or a relationship. Pema Chodron, I highly recommend. I have a video on top 10 best Buddhist books to read. I don't think everyone needs to be Buddhist, but Buddhism can be very helpful for people of any religion or no religion to just how to come back to the present moment, how to be genuine, how to open up, and how to be of benefit, most importantly. If your rut is of a different kind, maybe parenting, maybe you need to find a mindful parenting book. My rut right now is of the business kind. So I've been reading this, Ice Cream Social by Brad Edmondson, about the rise and fall and rise again of Ben and Jerry's. So Ben and Jerry's started off as this great quality, super premium ice cream company, started by a couple kind of troublemaking hippies, Ben and Jerry, and also this fellow Jeff Furman, and others were involved over the years. And a lot of their story reminds me of Elephant's story. It's interesting to read the story of a company, and it's all about the people who work for it. The difference between having a good person versus a bad person. There's this CEO toward the end, Perry Odak, who is basically like Darth Vader. He went on to be CEO of Wild Oats, which sold out to Whole Foods, and I'm good friends with some of the Wild Oats folks and the Whole Foods folks. And he's not an evil guy, but he prioritized really money, and specifically his own money, above the integrity of the brand or the social good that a brand can make. Ben, who's the sort of more involved, charismatic of the two founders, Jerry went off for about 10 years shortly after the founding of Ben and Jerry's. Ben says, business is the most powerful force in the world in terms of environmental devastation, in terms of political corruption, etc. So if you want to change the world, it's great to grab the tiger by its tail, start a business, and conduct it with integrity and find a social mission benefit. I've been a mentor at Unreasonable Institute, and that's directly what their mission is to find those kind of companies. A lot of people who are starting socially beneficial companies love to meet for, networking parties, and it's a big hip thing, but it's really hard. It's not just a trendy, cool thing to talk about. It's something to work hard at night and day. And I've done that for many years, and lately the burnout has accumulated, which it has a few other times, to a point where I don't know why I want to go forward. So reading this book, it really helped illuminate what my obstacles were. Interestingly, one of Elephant's major obstacles is distribution. Same with Ben & Jerry's. When Ben & Jerry's in the 90s got to a pretty big successful point, all the little ice cream companies and distribution companies were getting bought up by the big boys, Unilever and Dryers and some others. And Ben & Jerry's was struggling to find quality direct distribution, so it didn't get thawed and refrozen along the way, which kind of degrades the quality of the ice cream. The taste when it gets crystallized instead of it just coming straight from Vermont basically to your mouth. And Ben & Jerry's had a bunch of other problems, like they didn't jump on the organic, which blew my mind. They really should have. Same with Celestial Seasonings. Celestial Seasonings was the great natural tea company that I grew up on here in Boulder, and then they failed to go into organic. They failed to make a lot of obvious innovations, and that's what always happens when these young, innovative companies get bought by the big boys. They often stop innovating. So the line is not between successful business, if you get bought and you're owned by some big multinational corporation, and idealism and lack of successful business if you're independent. Often it's the independents who create the innovation and the success that then the multinationals want to devour. And in devouring it, often they kill the innovation that they bought. I've seen that with my friends at Gaiam many, many times. So to go along with this book, I've been watching a little watched video series on YouTube, a biography special on Ben & Jerry's, which many people watch, but it's somewhat old now, and a very little watched YouTube series called Selling Without Selling Out. Selling out is something Elephant has been obsessed with for many, many years. We're independent, 100% independent, and we've always wanted to remain so. And we used to, when we were a print magazine, we used to have a feature called Sell Out of the Issue, and we'd cover Honest Tea or Odwalla or Naked Juice or whoever it was. I mean, pretty much any natural brand. I did a blog on all the natural brands that had sold out and put every one of them in the title, kind of as a joke. So the title was, 5 pages long, a list of all the natural products companies that have sold out. And it's sad because many of these natural products companies are doing something quality and something unique that hasn't been done before. And but more and more what I'm seeing, I go to Natural Products Expo West, I interview all the brands with integrity that I can find. More and more what I'm seeing is that most brands from conception are built to sell. And while that's not evil, it is kind of evil. It's sad because the mission from the beginning is not about changing the world for the better. It's about kind of marketing how the product is changing the world for the better, but really just trying to make money so it can sell out so that the founders can make 90% of the money, or the investors, and the staff maybe gets laid off, and the partners, like the fair trade partners, don't lose their contracts. We saw that with Dagoba, which is a good friend of mine, back in the day. So I'm all over the place here because this is, well, the title kind of sums it up. It's the struggle for the soul of Ben & Jerry's. This isn't a video just on business. It's also on soul, or on heart, or on integrity, or on mission, and how to work with burnout. So Obviously, this is a book I highly recommend. The first 10 pages, I thought it was going to be kind of obsequious, and then it turned out into this fantastic and riveting and detailed, I almost wanted more detail, story of, the business and the mission, and how that went. So, happy ending. I can say that I will be going out and supporting Ben & Jerry's a ton right now. Things are very good with their partnership with Unilever right now. They have a great CEO. Everything seems good, unless everything's changed since this was published. I might have to check into that. But Ben & Jerry's finally got on the vegan train, which has been, there's been great vegan ice cream companies for years. Again, Ben & Jerry's being bought is missing out on the innovation and social good opportunities, business opportunities. So I've been going and buying the vegan ice cream for a couple weeks from the local Ben & Jerry's shop here. And I can say that I got many, many good ideas from this book. And it helped me kind of take a step back and look at everything that I'm doing in terms of how I'm relating to my staff and my mission and the defeats we've had. Elephant recently has been, losing our distribution through Facebook. We've been getting blocked repeatedly, and we don't know why, and we don't have a contact at Facebook. They're kind of huge. They're not evil by any means, but they don't seem to particularly care or even know that we exist, even though we're pretty big. And I have 20 editors who are posting nonstop to Facebook quality content, quality articles about mindful family, mindful adventure, mindful food, whatever it is. And, these 20 people are posting the kind of quality content to Facebook that Facebook says they want. And yet we're getting blocked repeatedly, flagged, I guess, by readers who disagree with an article. We got flagged on a civil rights post. So it's kind of threatening free speech, the free press, the right of journalism to comment on things without being shut down. Seems to be in peril with Facebook, and Facebook controls 75% of all media, all reads online in America. Whether it's BuzzFeed or Huffington Post, Facebook is the place where people find articles to read. Facebook is the bookstore, the grocery aisle to magazines in the 90s that where people find their stuff to read today. So that's enough, but basically, read up on the 3-part mission. Elephant has a similar one, which is to cover anything that is good for us, good for the planet, and good for others, and have fun doing so. And then to walk our talk along the way, which means, treating our team right and trying to be eco-responsible in our office and in everything we do. I interviewed Steve Demos, whose White Wave and Silk Soy sold or was bought by Dean, and then they fired Steve. And he talked a lot about right livelihood, which is a Buddhist notion, but he was using it in a very similar way to linked prosperity that Ben & Jerry's talks about, where every single thing you do in your business, every single partnership you have, say for cocoa or sugar or tofu or soy, whatever it is, whatever your company is, every single partnership and person, customer, staff, partner that you touch, it makes the world better. And that's not, again, some idealistic thing. It's actually saying we're not going to just focus on how much money we make. We're going to focus on benefiting the world through everything we do and letting our customers know that we're trying to do that. And then they will develop a loyalty and a joy in their own life. And that will extend to our product, and we will benefit because people will be inspired. I know I'm inspired to buy Ben & Jerry's as opposed to, say, Dryers. Alrighty, that's been plenty long, but it's good to be back. And I send you all the best from very snowy Boulder, Colorado.